Recording is started. So you want to see galaxies or nebulas first? Let me know which you guys want to do first.
Let's start with nebula if that's okay.
Okay. So the first thing is getting the data and stacking it. Now stacking in PixInsight is very easy to do. We use something called as weighted batch preprocessing. It's a self-explanatory process. You just have to put whatever the frames that you have taken, like lights, darks, dark lights, flats, you're done. And the system automatically takes care of getting them properly calibrated and even auto cropped and get them plate solved. So this takes care of the entire process of stacking the image and outputs in a specific folder. You can also drizzle the images as per your requirements. All right, but it is there is a detailed video on YouTube on how to get this process. I'm just telling you where we stack on PixInsight for the first of all. Right?
Tarun, do you drizzle every image that you capture or only specific ones? What are the parameters you use to drizzle your images if
So
you do?
why do we drizzle? First question. Any idea why do we drizzle?
I think making the image sharper.
No. It's drizzling also just not making the image sharper. Drizzle basically doubles your resolution. Now if you're imaging at 1:1, your image when you drizzle two times, that's 2:2. You're basically increasing the amount of pixel where it was initially you're doubling that into two. So if you have a 2600 MC Pro image, you are doubling that resolution when you're drizzling it twice. And when you do that, what happens is your your resolution increases and your sampling increases as well.
So does that mean errors or say walking noise or things like that will also double?
Yes, everything will double.
Okay, thanks.
For example, if I show you, let me take the data here. This is a non drizzle data. This is just a nebula with general drizzle, nothing. I mean, just normal drizzle. Do you see the blocky stars?
Yeah,
The stars, it's like they're squares. See this?
yeah, yeah.
That's because of undersampling. Not all stars. You would see a few stars are round enough when you pixel peek them. But few stars you see they are blocky, like squares. Now what happens is if you see, if I do some blur X, that blockiness would go off. You see this? They're rounding off a bit.
Yeah.
Now if I drizzle this image, I wouldn't see these square blocks here. They will all be round.
Mm.
What's happening is, for the same pixel area, this is 1 pixel, right?
Yeah.
This would double up, so I'll get more pixels for the same star, and the SPF value would round it off and make it easier for the star to look round. This image is a prime example for what happens. This image can be better if you can drizzle it. So what do you guys do next when you start processing? So once you open the image, you basically stretch it and see what you have in the image, right? What's the next step that we do? I basically follow the same workflow for every image, whichever it is. Is it a nebula or a galaxy? It is the same workflow. It will never change. So once I open the image, I STF it, so basically do an auto stretch and see where the gradients are. Now for this image, my gradients are from the left of the sorry, left of the image to right. So I just do a gradient extraction from graphics. That would remove the gradient. Now the gradient is gone. Okay, you guys able to see my screen? Is it clear?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Now this is a narrowband image. It's taken from an L Ultimate scope. Filter. Now the next step is I need to basically go ahead and get uh, uh, the color calibration complete. So what I do is I do color calibration SPCC in Ultimate. Get the color calibration going. This is color calibrated now. Now comes the
Tarun,
yeah
just a question.
yeah.
When do you decide between color calibration or SPCC? How do you kind of do that? Or always you do SPCC?
So any image that you basically takes it, you have to color calibrate it. You out of the camera, it's never color calibrated.
No, no, that I understand.
Mhm.
How do you choose which of the color calibration to use? Do you use just the simple one or do you use SPCC? How do you decide that?
Now, the decision of using SPCC is because this is the best method of doing color calibration because this takes into consideration the Gaia data where the star colors are accurate.
Correct.
Now, this one will only work if you have the Gaia files added to the PixInsight and the PixInsight is able to plate solve the image. Without
Right.
plate solving, you would not be able to use the SPCC functionality. So for example, in situations where let me show you another image. I don't think so. I have any image without being plate solved. Let me open up. Now this one, if I want to plate solve it, I have to go to image analysis and then do an image solver, right? This will plate solve the image for me where I have to put in all the coordinates and get the date and time in, put in all the required information and get the plate solving done. When what does PixInsight do is when you're actually stacking the picture itself with the WBPP, it will plate solve the image and also auto crop the image as per how it should be. Because when you dither, you would have those rough edges, right? This would clear
Yeah.
those rough edges and everything for you. You don't have to do anything. The image is ready to be processed out of stacking directly. SPCC, I do it whenever I feel that the first step is get the gradient out. The second step is I do a blurx. Now blurx also there is a method. What I do is I basically copy the luminance out. This is the luminance file. You can actually click on this icon and get the luminance filter, the luminance channel out, and do an FWFM analysis. So I do
What is
this is basic.
FWHM?
So basically, I'm trying to find out what's the median full well half. There is this well depth, right? You know what is
Right,
well
right.
depth? No, I'm
Yeah,
trying to find the median of it, and see what would
okay.
be my SPF, PSF. Sorry.
Right,
So yeah, I have to do it with the luminance channel. I find the SP 2.7 is my FWHM.
right,
Now what I can do is based on that 2.7, I round it off to 3, and I can apply. I can give blurx at that level. So I do I remove the automatic PSF, and I do
okay.
it 2.7 here.
So BlurX is one of the first things you do, or first you do gradient correction, SPCC, and then BlurX?
I can do it. The 3 steps are interchangeable, but to get best results, first do gradient, then do BlurX, then do an SPCC. I just did a gradient extraction. I've not done a color correction yet. I'll do the color correction next. So this would basically get your stars rounded out. No matter if you have any issues there, BlurX would take care of getting your stars rounded out. Even if I look at the corners now, all my stars should be round, mostly. Let's show you with an aberration inspector. Everything looks good on this image. Stars are okay. Now next is I need to go ahead and get this color calibrated. This was taken with an LX filter, narrowband, dual narrowband on an OSC camera. That's the 2600 MC Pro with a red cat. So LX, yes.
Sorry, interrupting.
Hello.
When I saw L Pro, I don't find it in the list. So,
L Pro is a broadband filter, bro. So you don't have to worry about it. You just put in the broadband data.
I can just use.
You can just use the RGB normal generals RGB filters for that.
Right.
So this is my color calibrated linear image to be processed to be next. So this is color calibrated, not stretched yet, color calibrated only. And then I need to go ahead and get this stretched now. So there are two methods of stretching. I use a couple of other options which are available, but usually what you do is you go to histogram transformation, open your image, and do a stretch this way, correct? Everybody uses this. This is one method of stretching, correct?
Okay.
I'm just doing a rough stretch right now. I can do it even better. I'm just doing a rough stretch. Just a second. I call that good. This is one method of stretching. Then I have a second method of doing it. I'll show it to you another image. The M33 as an example. Alright. M33. Let's do graphics. I think there is some weird gradient on this. Okay, let's see. That's not that good image. Perfect. This is a prime example. Right. Let's do Rapex. The very difficult part is getting that core not blowing out, correct? Everybody faces that trouble. It's got good detail in this picture. How do we not get that core blown out? I'll show you how. There is couple of easy methods to do it. This was in broadband with a UV IR cut filter only, so there is no special filters in front of it. This is broadband. So SPCC. So the second method I use in terms of getting the stretch happen is the easy processing suite. So there is a soft stretch available. Click on that, the image gets stretched. So it'll do an auto stretch for you, basically properly stretch the image and give you the output directly. You just have to use the curves next and get the next step going. But this is the easiest way of getting the stretch completed. Recently, another stretch method I've seen is with the IHDR and the statistical stretch option. This one is a bit tricky, and you have to do a lot of trial and error to learn this. So once you install the statistical stretch option, you have something called as target median. You can reduce it to at least 12 and boost up to 10 or 15, and then your preview and see how your stretch is at that time. This is your initial stretch. Now the next step is, once you execute this, the next step you have to do is the HDR stretch. So I'll show you how to HDR stretch done. This is the initial stretch. You got the core blown out a bit, but your highlights are still missing out there. What I can do is I can go to Sketchpad IHDR, do low HDR, put it to 10, then execute it. This should give me a good background, neutralize the background, have my image properly stretched, and my highlights not blowing out. The other method is that you basically go ahead and do the easy stretch and do an HDR multi-scale transformation where you're reducing the highlights. That would basically lose some data out, but this would not lose the data out. You're basically stretching it properly.
Okay.
Yes, Jayant.
Tarun, Easy Suite, I think it's top development or something. I'm not sure whether it is available
It's
anymore.
available. It's available. It's available. I can share the links for the statistical stretch and
Okay,
the IHDR part. It's available. There
okay,
was a recent
okay,
video
good.
from Adam Block as well on this. If you're following Sasha or Adam Block, you should be able to see. Now you see the image. The background is properly stretched. Your data is stretched. Now you just have to play with your curves to find the where exactly your data is.
Tarun, you don't use generalized hyperbolic stretch, huh?
I used to use that, but this stretch functionality is working good for me.
That is a easy stretch and HDR stretch.
The easy stretch is like just one click. You just have to put stretch it, and the system takes care of stretching that properly. You see this?
Correct.
I don't have to do anything apart from that. GHS is GHS. You have to work on it, right? For
Correct.
example, this image I've stretched it normally, right? I don't have. Sometimes what we do is we overstretch, and you see the salt and pepper thingy, the noise.
Mm.
That's like you're overstretching it. The background that you see here is because of overstretching. Now in the same image you see the background, I've overstretched it because I've applied the easy stretch on already stretched image. The background is gone. if I show you how the normal stretch looks like on the easy processing suite ka. Let's take an easy image. This is one of the complicated images I have taken recently. See the gradients? There is no gradient here at all. But there is a slight gradient that can be removed. This is with the RC6. Let's do an SPCC. This is broadband data, so I don't have to select any filters. It's done. Now look at this. I use the easy stretch functionality. This will give me the proper stretch. If you look, the background is not blown out overdone background. Right? It's good enough that I can go ahead and use the curves to start working on next. And all these stars, you see the separation there? Good enough separation. It's not blowing out completely. Now, if you look at the wells, the full wells on these images, render 3D plot. You see those two images there, those three stars that you see there, that blowing out stars, they will be already full. There is a visualization method in PixInsight built in where you can see how well how the full well depths work and how exactly your stars are blowing out. I'm just showing you that.
So Tarun, you use HDR stretch only if you want to protect your cores. Otherwise, you don't need
Correct.
it, right?
No, you don't have to. If you want to use, if you have it, like your Orions, right? Orions are always core sensitive. Then only you use that HDR, but so that you preserve the dynamic range that you get. This is how you can see your well depths. So each and every peak that you see is one of the stars, right? If the stars plateau, you see this is a plateau.
Right.
That's blowing out.
Okay. You need spiky stars, right?
Correct. That's when you have your stars not blowing out. This blown out. The three stars that you see here, blown out. Because they are bright stars. Can't do anything. There is one more here, blown out. And even the spikes, you can see how exactly they impact your images. See this? Alright, next is, this is already stretched now. What I do next is basically get the stars out. I have star exterminator, where is it?
Do you remove stars for every image, or there are specific images where you remove and process further?
It all depends upon what I want to do for that specific day. For example, here, let me just rename this. Now here in this situation, I have a background nebula, right? And I have a foreground of stars, foreground and background of stars. Now in order for me to preserve my star color and process my nebula properly, I need to get the stars out first. The only reason you remove stars from an image is to, if you have a big nebula around, right? And you want to process the colors of the nebula correctly, that's when you remove the stars out. Or the second method is you want to have that starless rendition of any of your images.
Yeah.
Now this is
One question.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because you stretch the image and then remove the stars. So I'm just curious whether that's the normal way, or should you remove the stars before stretching?
That's again depends upon choice. People have their own choices. So if you want to remove the stars before you linearly stretch it, it's fine. There are two other methods of star stretching: stretching your stars separately and you're stretching your images. I mean, your normal image separately. That can be done, but if you want to save some time, you can stretch both of them at the same time and separate them at the later stage. It's your call. I mean, I would say that is an artistic choice.
Thank you.
So now is I want to process this image to get it to a sharpness level and have my blues boosted up. All right. So recently there have been couple of new selective color collections in color enhancements and few tools that are available to do it. But I want to show you how it's easy it can be done just to have that one color boosted out.
Tarun, just a question. Now,
Yeah.
whatever workflows that you're showing,
Mm-hmm.
is this more rendering the image towards an artistic way or rendering the image towards a scientific way?
So the images I'm right now doing are more of scientific way, and the artistic way, the artistic way of adding some additional color is your choice. I'm just showing you how you can do it. Whether you want to add that color or not, it's up to your choice.
Okay, understand. So now when we talk about the scientific way, the color correction, one of the things when you started was trying to get a baseline from the Gaia data,
Yep,
correct?
yep.
Okay. Now, in with this PixInsight, how is it understanding the Gaia data and then trying to represent the images? And what is it really using? Do we know? Because Gaia is having a lot of spectrometric data there.
Correct. So the SPCC itself, the name itself is spectrometric color calibration. S-
Correct. So
Spectro.
now,
Yeah.
sorry. Now, because there are certain images which are broadband, certain images which are narrowband, certain images which are wide field, certain images which are kind of narrow field.
Yep.
That means, so how is that being understood by this software to color correct it spectrometrically? Do we give, say, something like a Messier object number, which takes that as a baseline and then tries to color correct the stars around it?
So
I'm still a bit confused. Or
got it,
sorry,
got it.
not clear there.
So let me tell you what happens. When you're processing the image, the first step that you do is to plate solve the image. Correct? Now, within PixInsight, when you actually do the batch processing and do the weighted batch pre-processing, PixInsight takes care of plate solving your image and also keeping the focal and everything calculated correctly and plate solving the image. SPCC needs that to basically, once the image is plate solved, to find the right color, star colors, and calibrate them as per the colors. It would need to be plate solved. Without plate solving, it would not work.
Okay.
Now, with the Gaia data that you have, Gaia data is usually used for plate solving big, from wide fields to very short fields, right?
Correct.
So that's the reason I am able to use that data and color calibrate properly, color calibrate my stars properly, and also the background nebulas.
Okay. Now, when I use PixInsight, will this Gaia data plugin come in as default, or there needs to be a separate thing added? Sorry, I don't know much about
I
PixInsight
understand.
and
You
such.
have to download. There are 4 files right now, but you have to download 6 files, put them in a separate folder in
Okay.
anywhere in your system, and
Okay.
add them as a part of your PixInsight folders. Processes here in Gaia. There is a script here, and I need to
Okay.
put those files here added here.
Ah, okay. Okay. Understand. Understand.
That's how it is basically getting that median done,
Got
color
it.
calibration done.
Thank you.
So next step is to boost colors. The recent method I found is the easiest way is just uh, do this. I'll show you. Make a clone of it. Make the clone of your stars. And use that clone as a mask. Simple enough. Use your curves, boost colors. See this?
Mm.
The easiest way. No masking, nothing. You're just using the same mask that you create out of the clone and boost the stuff. Now this is people's choice. There is no scientific method of doing this.
So Tarun, this is not a luminance mask, right? It's the same image as a mask.
Yeah, I'm just boosting the luminance a bit so that I get the darker areas. This is another function, all coming under the graphics utility. I'm just improving the contrast a bit from the background and the foreground, the nebula itself.
Which function was this?
This is a utility script. Sorry, the toolbox script from graphics. They have given a lot of new tools here.
Oh, okay.
So now I want to basically, you see the dark lanes, the dark structures. I want to enhance them. I can have a tool or a function for that called as dark structure enhance. Just reduces it a bit. And it'll do the enhancement. See? Darkened out a bit. Now I do the noise extermination. So I do edit down a bit more. 70, 71. 70 is good. Details about 20. Noise should be gone. But I still see a greenish tinge. I can remove that with the SENR functionality. The green should go out. Good enough. Then combine the stars with the starless. Before you do this, if you want to improve the sharpness, you can use the BlurX functionality to improve the sharpness as well. Once you open BlurX, you have something called as non-stellar sharpen and stellar adjustments. Remove this completely, keep it to as low as possible, and just do this. This will only do sharpening, no deconvolution there. Improves the sharpness a bit, but it sometimes overdoes it as well. See, this is overdone. But if you like it, keep it, then put back your stars. Now, in order to get the star colors boosted out, so now these star colors are actually looking nice. But if you want to boost those colors, you have your star clone, right? Use that as a mask. Sorry. Transformation.
Do you blur the star clone before using as a
I
mask?
don't. No, I don't.
Okay.
If you blur it, you will see a lot of artifacting.
Okay.
Now I want to boost the colors or reduce it. I want to increase my stars, decrease my stars. I can do all of that here. See that?
Hmm.
I can increase, decrease luminances, make them small, make them bright, all of that here. I can increase the saturation where I can get the stars colors boosted the way I want it. But some reason with this filter that I'm using here, the filter here is the L quad. I love the star colors. They come out pretty natural. Any questions on the nebula part? I think we call it a done image so far. I mean, keep doing it as 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 you feel the satisfaction, but I would say this is a done image for now. Any questions?
Tarun, I missed that part where you were showing the star being prayed to. There was a 3D image that you showed now.
Okay,
So how do you access that?
that's on the script, image
Rep,
analysis, and
image
then you have
analysis,
something called as wait a second, render. It's in
render. Okay.
scripts, render, and 3D plot.
Okay, thank you.
Now, if I want to have annotations on my image here, I can just do render and do annotate image. It will take the same Gaia data that you see there, sir, and it'll process and give you this ren- uh, uh, what do you call it, named image along with your coordinates. Along with it, if you want to add any other catalogs like visible planets, asteroids, you can also add those. It'll also show up any of those if they're available. Anyone has a good क्या बोलता है? Let me show you the other image. Anyone has good galaxy data? I think I can do the M95. Let's see. No, not good. Alright, let's do the M51. You want to do this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, this data, I wouldn't say it's perfect. It's got its imperfections. It's a lot more blurry because I was using an RC6 on a SEM26. So the combination is at its limits, and you would expect that blurriness out there. Now, how can we work on this kind of an image and get the most out of it? First thing is the same thing. We remove the gradient. I'm using GraphX, but you can also use automatic background extraction also and get the gradient out. Right now the gradient is out. Is out. I am doing an L component out for my image analysis and doing the FWFM HM 6.4. So I go to BlurX 6.4 the PSF diameter. That should get my stars pretty perfect. If you notice, before BlurX and after BlurX, I gained some sharpness back. You see this? Now you can use BlurX to get your sharpness a bit more detailed, but don't overuse it because that will spoil the image completely. Now this was a broadband image, so I'm not using any filters. I'm just putting the broadband data. I'm getting some my background. 1 second. So I have noise blur exit, color calibrated it, gradient extracted. So this is ready to be stretched. Anybody wants to see how GHS works? I don't think I have GHS. Let me see. I have. All right, so let's do that. So how do you use GHS to find the right stretch? Pretty much trial and experimentation. You have the brightest value here and you have the background values here. If you click on this, wait a second. If you check here, the SP value should be somewhere in the middle. Let me just show you this. If you look at this, the background is always on the middle here, the most background that you see. If I click on the brightest spots, it should be somewhere on the right. That's because that's the most stretched part of the image. How do you find the balance between this? First thing is, once you have the image open, just generally stretch it so that you get the histogram stretched a bit. Just you know, the image is showing up a bit. See that? That's your basic first level. Now from here, iterate on it. Now I want to stretch just the background. I select the background here somewhere, send it to the symmetry point. It should be right in the middle, and then I stretch it a bit more. Do iteratively. Now I know stretch the dust lanes a bit. Select the dust lane, send it to the symmetry point, stretch it a bit. Similarly, I want to stretch that dust lane a bit. I want to stretch decrease the highlights that I have. I can do that. I want to increase the saturation a bit. For example, I want to increase the saturation on the galaxy. Which color is that? I can do that. See that? The color is coming out. Don't overdo it now. I think I call it good there. That's with the GHS. I still see the salt and peppery, the red and blues that you see out there. What the other method of removing that is neutralization. Still you see the blues, then do an AC DNR. That should reduce that bad stretching. See this? The rest of it we can remove that through noise control. Removing the stars next.
Hey Tarun, I got logged off for a brief minute.
Yeah.
So you use generalized hyperbolic stretch for galaxies?
Not always. All depends again what you want to do for the day. How much time you have to spend on this. I can do the same stretch with easy processing and do the soft stretch and get the image done with it as well. It all depends upon how fast you want to do it.
Got it.
If you want to spend time on stretching, I go for the GHS and get the proper stretch. If I'm in a hurry and want to get it done as quickly as possible, use the easy stretch. Let's see if I can find a good image. Yeah, this one. I'm just doing an HDR of 2 sets, so 300 seconds and 30 seconds, 2 images, combining both of them. This is the HDR image. Let's do an auto stretch. Still the book core is blown out. You see this? Now, what do you use for this? How do you stretch this image properly? If you use GHS, you would still blow out the core. Use the easy processing suite and stretch it, it will still blow out the core. The best method here is to do the statistical stretch and get the core saved a bit. Now, if I use the statistical stretch, this is an HDR image, so keep that down to 10, boost it, preview it. I'm still able to protect the background a bit, sorry, the core a bit, but my stretch is proper for now. The background is not too blown out and my image is not totally blown out as well. I can still recover the HDR image in it. So for now I execute it for this. This will be my initial base stretch. Once this is done, I do an IHDR. This is the HDR stretch. So I do low, stretch intensity, put it to 10 and execute this. And this steps you have to do a lot of trial and error to find out what would work for you. I have found these numbers work for my purposes. It always can be different for your purposes. So don't just copy the same numbers that I'm doing out there. It could be anything based on how your systems are and how your data is. See, I'm able to preserve the core a bit. Some stars are visible, but it's not totally blown out. Right? If I want to even get it down, I can do the HDR transform, multi-kill transform and get that even down. There you go. I can see the trapezium now. See this? Got it good enough. Any questions? Let's do a galaxy, as I said. Let's do RC6. This is M57, the cat's eye nebula. Oh, sorry, this is M57 ring. Okay, sorry. Just a second, let me see another one. Okay. This is the M106 in the, I think this is close to the Marquet Range Chains group of galaxies. So I have the main galaxy and the companion here. Let's do the process on this. So the same step, GraphX. remove the gradient. Gone. Next, create the luminance file and check the value. It's about 4.4. Open up BlurX. 0.4. Now apply the blur. That should get the stars normal. Yep. Stars looking normal. Then I do an SPCC. This is broadband image, no filter used. No IR cut as well. That's done. Now galaxies, it's really difficult to stretch them properly. What I would suggest, I basically go ahead and use the stop stretch function, get the base stretch out. Now this is giving me the base stretch, so I can initially start working on the image. There is one second. Sorry about that. So my initial stretch is done, but there is this wispy dust lanes outside the galaxy that are visible. But if you want to get them out, I use the curves and get this out. That's the most I can get out of it without damaging the background. Right? Next is I need to go ahead and get the stars out so that I can process the galaxy image itself. My stars are out. I can process concentrating on the galaxy image. I rename them just to make it easy. Make a clone of it. My clone mask it. And then just go out, boost the colors. Call it good enough. See some part of the dust lane. Okay. Just go for noise. Get the noise removed. See some greenish tinge. Let's do CNR. Still that salt and pepper noisy background. Do an AC DNR. That should smooth it out. There you go. Increase the contrast a bit more. Utilities to improve billions. Improve contrasty edges. Should be good enough. Better sharpening. I can put the stars back on. Now to get the star colors a bit more, and just put the star as a mask. Just improve or increase the saturation. I'm not impacting anything apart from just the stars. There you go. It's done. Any questions? Any questions, anyone?
More than a question, a request.
Yes, Ram.
Tarun. The request would be that okay, you're showing a lot of steps. That's good, no doubt. Now, if you can represent this pictorially, saying that this is what I do after A to B, and with generic terms, like when you say ACDNR, it is specific, probably to what you do as part of PixInsight. So somebody else might use something else. So you can just say probably noise correction.
Yeah.
All I'm trying to tell is that if you can build those kind of a broad flow chart and kind of publish that, that will be great, because each one of them will have their own set of workflows in mind when they process a
True.
particular picture.
True. True.
Right.
I'll
Now,
try and do that. I'll try
yeah,
and do that.
let me understand this is just this is just an input, because it will always be so useful, because okay, a person A like you is trying to do this steps and this, and somebody will be following something else. But when we try to compare what we are trying to do, what is generally trying to be done by somebody else, then it gives a perspective, and irrespective of the software that you use, that can be kind of adapted. This is just a request, so
Got
that
it.
that
Got it.
might probably help. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. I'll try and do it. All right.
Yeah, hi Tarun, Ash here. Just one small suggestion to add on to what Ram said. I think other than the base Pix Insight, I think you have been using quite a lot of plugins and additional scripts which have to be, integrated. So it might not be a bad idea to, if you could just list out the important ones, so one could kind of, go ahead and download
So
and integrate those.
what I do is I'll go ahead and get this repository shared. Sudhir,
Okay.
this is a list of repositories that I've come across from over the years. So like it's like for me, PixInsight's been about a year and a half project right now. So I've been learning it from a year and a half only. I've never used PixInsight before. So I have these created. I'll share them once I create the list of it. I'll share it with everybody who has PixInsight so that you can add them. You have to be on the latest version of PixInsight for these to work. So make sure of that, and you should be able to use these same functionalities that I'm using. If you have NoiseX, BlurX, and StarX, even better. If you don't have it, you have for deconvolution there is a free program as well from Deep Sky Image. There is a different product, different easy one to do. I'll share that as well. That's a good program. That's an outside PixInsight one, but you can do the same kind of deconvolution that you do on PixInsight on that as well. Rest of rest is GrapX, background extraction and noise correction. I think GrapX is doing an excellent job. It's similar, doing the same job as a NoiseX and NoiseX and StarX. So that will easily work for you guys. I think right now, in terms of what needs to be purchased, I would say BlurX is the most important thing. I think NoiseX and StarX are not needed anymore.
Yeah, so Samir here, Tarun, and
Yeah.
Tarun, really thanks for this session. And I think, over the years in the group, I've been facing a lot of people coming across asking me that what are the kind of tools and processes that are being used. How did you get this image? So it's a good start point that you have given everybody in PixInsight. And coming back to the question that was raised by Ashutosh, I think it is, Ashutosh, important that you get your workflow right, and then basis the workflow, the tool set can be used, right?
Correct.
So PixInsight is like got a million tool sets and a million third-party scripts running for it. And I agree with Tarun that BlurX is something that today we can't do without. That I think should be on everybody's mind in case somebody wants to purchase it. I would say that is a must-have tool, the BlurX option. But apart from that, it all depends on what works for you. Like, for example, ACDNR may work for Tarun and me, but
It must.
ACDNR may not work for you. It
Correct.
some other noise would work for you, right?
Absolutely.
So I agree. Yeah, so I agree with Ram as well. It's a good idea. So whenever you get time, Tarun, thanks for taking out time for this today. And I'm planning to do a series of these master classes, obviously with different topics every month for the group, for the benefit of the group. And thank you that for that suggestion, Ram. And I think Tarun, if you get time, it won't be a bad idea to kind of just give a flowchart of the process rather than the procedure, the process saying that okay, it's stretch first, noise, then SPCC, the process itself, and let people use or fit their processes in those boxes. So that flowchart would be kind of a guide for them to say what to do first and what to do next, and whatever procedure or whatever process they want to use, they can fit it in that particular box.
True, Samir. One more thing that I've noticed is that based on what camera that you use and what manufacturer is coming from, your process would change, your workflow would change. So just want to point that out too. Because
Absolutely. I agree. And also the gain settings and the
yeah,
settings of the camera matter.
absolutely.
Especially somebody asked a question in the workshop about SPCC and PCC.